So we're going to do like a guided work hour. I'm basically going to break down what I do every single day, and it will need to be adjusted for you all depending on what your goals are in this business. So obviously, you guys know my goal. I have very big goals, very big income goals. I also do this full time, so I have a little bit more time to dedicate to some of these things than some of you all do. So I don't want anyone to watch this and be like, "Oh my gosh, and it won't let me join without the code. Hold on. I don't want anybody to watch this and be like, "Oh my goodness, I can't do all of this stuff that she's doing," because you have to understand that we may be in a little bit of a different place in our business, but I have had several people say that they want to know exactly what I do, that, they want to grow like I have grown. So, we're just going to go through the tracker and I'll tell you exactly how I do it. Everybody is out of the waiting room. Looks like we're going to have a nice turnout tonight. Okay. I'm going to share my screen and pull up the tracker and my Facebook page. Okay, so this is going to be the DMO that I'm referring to. Can you guys see this, the new associate DMO? Okay, I don't love the way this is laid out, but it works. I just suggest going through here and yeah, no, this isn't the right one. This doesn't even have invites on it. Where's the one I sent you guys? Hold on. I'm not going to share my screen right now because there may be pictures in here that you all may not want to see. And we'll leave it at that. I updated one and I put invites on it. And now I don't know what I did with it. I know where it is. Okay, all y'all just coming in the waiting room. I'm just finding the DMO that we're going to use so I can show you and then we're going to get started. Okay, found it. So this is the DMO that I'm referring to. I edited it just a little bit so that it would reflect how many days we had left in the month. Can you guys see this image okay? And I sent it to some of the groups. If you are in the newbie group, you have one that looks a little bit different, but it's going to be kind of the same concept. This is very laid back and open. So you guys feel free to unmute and ask questions or say, I don't understand that, or whatever you need to do. Okay, so we're going to start with the daily trainings. I've been trying to share what the trainings are in our group, like what's planned for the day. Whatever's on the schedule. There's sometimes like 9 a.m. ones, noon ones, nighttime ones. I've been trying to keep those shared so that you guys can see. And I just want to reiterate that you cannot not possibly go to every single training that there is, but go to the ones you can and go to the ones that you think are going to apply to you. Next is going to be, I don't do these in this order, but adding friends is important. And it's one of the first things I do because I feel like it's one of the least time consuming things. So I'm going to pull up my Facebook page and show you guys exactly how I do that. Can everybody see my Facebook page? Yeah. Okay. So it looks different on your phone than it does on your computer. But if you scroll a little bit, it will start generating these people that you may know. And I'm going to tell you, if you're brand new to this business and you're spending a lot of time like looking at my stories and looking at my posts and maybe Nicolette's, you want to be careful because it will probably generate a lot of our people here for you while you're doing that. So this is not something that should be extremely time consuming, but sometimes it does take just a minute to decide let's see. Sometimes it does take just a minute to decide if you want to add the people or not. So just a couple of things that I look for is I want them to be in like the same age and stage of life as me. So I want them to be about my age. I want them to have kids. If you don't have kids and you're living more of the single lifestyle, you know, that might be the person that's appealing to you. If you're older and you're an empty nester with no kids at home, then that might be the kind of person that you want to add. We don't just want to go mindlessly adding people. We want to be sure that we're adding people who will be interested in our content. So I try to add about 5 friends a day. You don't want to go in here and go crazy because you'll get locked out of Facebook and it'll think that you're some sort of like spam account. So I'll just do a very quick judge of their Facebook page. I will click on their page. If you're on your phone, it'll tell you if they're like members of the same groups as you. So like if they're a member of the Legacy Makers group or something like that, I'm not going to friend them. This girl doesn't look like she's doing anything similar, so I'm going to add her as a friend. I'm not going to think that much about it. Now I'll go back and it's going to give me some more suggested people. And I'm just going to go through here and do this about 5 times. Check out this girl. Yep. Any questions about adding friends? You definitely don't want to just click, 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 because you're going to end up adding a bunch of people that you don't need to add. You want to take a second to look at their Facebook page and just make sure that it's someone that you do. So, like this girl is a realtor, it looks like. In my experience, realtors are pretty busy and don't, in my opinion, haven't been interested in doing business with me. So I'm personally not going to add this person. But that's just because I have found that in conversations, when I talk to women who are realtors, they're like, I make a lot of money selling houses and I'm just not really interested in adding anything else. So you guys are welcome to do this while we're doing it. If you haven't done your work today, I typically don't do my DMO on Saturdays and Sundays. I do it Monday through Friday. Now, with that, I want you to understand that there are things that I do still do on Saturdays and Sundays. I do still show up in my stories and try to make a post. If people are asking me questions in my inbox, you know, I'll respond to those, but I'm not doing much other than that. So, any questions about adding friends? It should not take a lot of time. I've had some people say, like people who are still working full time, busy moms, they'll say, when I wake up in the morning and go pee, when I sit on the toilet, I spend 5 minutes adding my friends and then it's done for the day. So, you know, you can get creative with what your work looks like if you're working in those pockets of time. All right, next on our DMO, posting on social media. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. I'm going to pull up the other DMO that I sent you guys too. We should, if you're in the Diamond Push group, you should be posting twice a day. If you're a newbie, once a day will do for now. But if you really want to warm up the Facebook algorithm and you want to get it working in your favor more quickly, I would definitely recommend posting twice a day. You will not make those both business posts or product posts. One will be, you know, a picture of your kids or your family or a meal you cooked and loved. An engagement post can be helpful. I saw someone, like, I've seen a lot of people talking about whether or not spouses share bath towels. Like, I don't know why, but that was on everything it was on Instagram when I opened it today and it was on Facebook. Maybe there's like a Netflix movie about it. I don't know. But like this girl commented, she was like, I think it's gross, but I know some of you do it. Who does it? It had like 200 comments on it. It didn't have a picture on it or anything. So like anytime you can post what we would call an engagement post, that can be helpful. And then a special tip is anytime you post an engagement post like that, that's going to get a ton of comments on it, be sure that you post something directly after it that relates to your business or product because you're going to be boosted in the Facebook algorithm. Okay, let me find, man, there's still people coming into the waiting room. I think it might be better if we use the tracker I sent in this group. think it will flow for us just a little bit better. Hey, Jess, could you let her out or whatever she's wanting so she'll quit yapping? I have the hardest time on this computer getting things to do what I want them to do. I've downloaded the image. Now why can't I see it anywhere? Hold on just a second. In case you haven't know, oh, there it is on my other screen. I'm not tech savvy. I never claimed to be tech savvy. You don't have to be tech savvy to be successful at this business. Okay, so we're going to use this tracker for reference because I think that that's going to be a little bit easier for you guys. Okay, so adding 5 new friends, posting on your page 2 times a day. The reason that this says a stagnant post, a reel, or a carousel is because as often as you can use all of the things on your Instagram and Facebook options, the more it's going to boost you in the Facebook algorithm. If you're not sure what a carousel is, it's one of those things where you put one picture, it's like a scrolling thing on Instagram. Let me see if I can find one that I posted. So something like this, where you have one image and then a second image, or sometimes the first will be an image and then the next one will be like some words or something. Nicolette posts carousels all the time. I'll see if I can find one on hers. Yeah, so it's like where you just have more than one thing. That's called a carousel. We all know what a reel is. I personally think that stagnant posts get more attention, so you definitely need to be sure you're posting those. But if you want your second post of the day to be like a reel or a carousel or something like that, that can be helpful to the algorithm. All right, next is 7 to 10 stories per day. And there are so many of you all who have said, like, this is the biggest struggle for me. This is the thing that I cannot do. And I don't want stories to be scary because stories are literally the money maker of this business. If you can figure out how to um, create a relationship with your followers in your stories, that is going to make your business explode quicker than any viral reel, any viral content, or anything like that. Actually, I can say that for a fact because I have a couple of viral reels on Instagram and nothing ever came from them. Like they went viral, but I never got a single customer or client from them. All of my customers, all of my associates come from my stories 100%. So I'm going to tell you guys just a little bit about stories and then we'll move on with our tracker. Okay, I create all of my stories on Instagram. For one, I feel like it has more options as far as stickers, music, captions, titles, question boxes, polls, things like that. It just has a lot more options. And you can set your toggle so that everything you post on an Instagram story will toggle over to Facebook. Now is a really good time that if you are not familiar with Instagram stories or you're struggling with Instagram stories to say, hey, I need help with this. I just suggest finding a filter that you like. You don't have to use a filter, but find one that you like, save it, and then it's always going to be there for you. If you didn't know, there is a hands-free button over on the side. So you can hit the hands-free button and it will record a 60-second clip and you can save it or directly upload it. If I'm going to record several clips back to back, like if I'm going to be talking about the business and I know it's going to take me several clips, I will usually record one and save it, record it, save it, record it, and save it. And then when I'm done, I'll go back and post them so that I don't like lose where I was going or get distracted or only get half of them posted. So also in your stories, record stories in Instagram, the poll. Oh, The poll feature on Instagram does not convert to Facebook, so keep that in mind. Most of the things do convert, but the poll does not. So if you put a question box in your stories on Instagram, it will convert to Facebook. The little slide bar converts, but if you put like yes or no, it doesn't. So you will need to either not care that it doesn't convert, or what I will often do is go over to Facebook and upload the same image and add a poll there. Always add caption to your stories. Most people read captions because they're watching videos while they're working or driving and things like that, or like riding in the car and they don't want to bother anybody else. So captions are it. There was a study done that showed like what the percentage of people was who they clicked on past your story if the captions wasn't there, and it was like crazy. And ever since I heard that, I was like, I'll never post a story without captions again. Adding interactions on your stories can be helpful for your story views. So if you add any of those special little stickers or buttons, you can definitely do that. And if you're scrolling through someone, especially like someone in our group, and you see that they've added an interactive story, clicking on it can help boost them in the Facebook algorithm. Okay, 7 to 10 stories. This needs to be your goal. If you're just starting and it's taking you a long time to figure out stories, don't let it be time consuming, but aim to self improve and get your stories up to 7 to 10 per day. I don't want you guys like I don't know, sitting down and spending 30 minutes trying to record a couple of stories, right? Nothing is productive about that. It's taking too much of your time. You're probably getting frustrated, and then you got nothing else on your tracker done for the day. Just be aware and aim to improve. Your story content needs to be diverse, but two things that need to be covered in your story every single day, regardless, is about the business and about the products. You will feel like, oh my gosh, I have shared about Activate until I'm sure people are so sick of it. But that is not the case. You're always going to have new people coming into your stories. You are, you want to show consistency, that it's important to you that you're using it every day. And it's going to feel like you're being redundant, but it's absolutely necessary. If you go watch even Tina Joy Carroll's stories, to this day, as successful as she is in this business, you will see her mixing up her Activate on her stories every single day. You also need to be talking about the business every day. Don't feel like you're oversharing or anything like that. I tried to share with you guys some different ideas of ways you can talk about the business, but not quite talk about the same thing today. So, save those stories, recreate them, take some notes, make them your own. And that is 5 ways that I sent you today that you can talk about the business in your stories this week. Aside from the product and the business, the rest of your stories can be whatever you want them to be. They can be a cleaning hack. They can be a simple snack that you make for your kids. They can be, I share a lot about our chickens and our farm and canning and things like that. You have to figure out kind of what you are interested in sharing, but you need to be sure that you have something that's diverse. Whenever you are sharing content, you want to think about what is going to show up in the bubble. So if you look at Facebook, you'll see what you want to think about what is going to be the still image that shows up in these bubbles, okay? So let's say I'm going out to my chicken coop and I want to record a story about how this business has helped me to leave my career and build my chicken dreams. If I have my camera facing me and I'm talking about that, sure, some people are going to watch it, some people are going to click through it because they've heard me say it already. But if I have my camera turned around and it's facing my chickens, people are going to click on that way more than they're going to click on the image of my face. Same thing, applies like if I'm wanting to share about how I'm able to homeschool my kids now because I don't have to work a 9 to 5. If I'm just holding up my phone, recording a video about that, some people will see it and click on it. But if I prop my camera up across the room and record some content of how I'm homeschooling with my girls, people are going to see that and click on that because it's something more than just my talking head. Does that make sense? You want to think about what they see in that bubble. Not clickbait, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm sure you've seen those people that post those things that they look like butt cracks or something. right on the story. And you're like, I know you posted that, so I would click on it, and I'm purposefully not going to click on it. That's not what I'm talking about. I just want you to be intentional sometimes about what that image is because it will get people to click on it because they're interested in what it is.
Mom, look, I have a friend.
Yeah, don't break that. Okay. Okay. I know I just said, to be creative with your talking heads, but talking heads are important. So the talking head stories are the ones where you are talking about the business or you are talking about the product. Okay. I'm seeing in a lot of stories where people are just maybe like mixing up their Activate and saying maybe they're playing music over it, or maybe you even say, just mixing up my Activate for today. But you need to be talking about why. Why are you mixing this up? What is it going to do for you? Why does the person watching your video need to know that you're mixing up this drink and you're drinking it every day? What has changed for you? If you don't have an amazing weight loss transformation, that's okay. I don't either. I lost my postpartum weight 5 years ago and I'm not going to lose any more. So, like, my transformation isn't necessarily a side by side. I talk about how it helps with cravings and how it helps with bedtime snacking. So be sure that you're actually talking. All of the story slides that we share that talk about the business and the bonus and the products, those are all great filler content, but it should never replace you actually talking about it because people will click on it and they will listen to what you have to say about it. If you're just sharing those images, people are just going to click right through those. And if you are doing this, I don't want you to think I'm like telling you you're failing or anything. I'm not. I'm just explaining what might get better views for you. Um, I personally think that stories do better if you put a heading on them. So you will notice if I'm going to talk about the business in one of my stories, I'll usually put a heading that says like $500 bonus this month, or um, I talk a lot about how people will claim, like, oh, I don't have time for a side hustle. So I might put in quotation marks, I don't have time for this. And I just try to give like a little heading about what the story's about. And that will help people just to quickly assess, like, hey, I want to click this and read it. I want to hear what she has to say. All right. Consistency is key. Nothing will tank your story views worse than you showing up for 24 hours and then not showing up for 2 or 3 days. And then putting one or two stories up with no talking heads and then putting 15 stories up the next time. You will literally be able to go click at your through your story views, like your week report, and you will be able to see your numbers plummet if you are not consistent in your stories, because Facebook is not going to boost your content if you're not using stories the way they were meant to be used. And they were meant to tell a story about what your day is like. They were meant to tell a story about what your business is and what your product use is. So if you are not keeping that content consistent, your story views will absolutely tank. Oh, I just now saw the chat box. So we don't need to friend other. I mean, you can friend people who are Tranont associates. I personally don't, because what will happen is I will send them, they will be watching my stories and I'll send them a message that says, hey, are you interested in, good night. I'll come and kiss you after I get done. I'll send them a message that says, hey, were you interested in what I'm doing? And then they'll send me that awkward message that says, actually, I'm on Nicolette's team. So I personally do not friend people who are already Tranont affiliated, but that's totally up to you. Do you add 5 friends in Facebook and then on Instagram? So the general rule on Instagram used to be that you want more people following you than you were following. So I don't add friends on Instagram. I just focus on making content that is going to get people to follow me. Now, I am not an Instagram guru. I can do Facebook all day. That 90% of my clients come from Facebook. So just take what I say about Instagram with a grain of salt. What is the guy? Brock something is a guy who has free content on Instagram. That is super duper helpful. What is his name? Brock 11 Johnson. I'll type that into the chat. If you're trying to grow on Instagram, you should go look him up because he posts really, really good Instagram content and he keeps up with what is changing and what's up to date and outdated. Okay. And then last thing about stories is, feel free to use other people in the business. Feel free to use their stories as inspo, just so long as it doesn't allow you to get in your head and be like, oh my gosh, her stories are so pretty. Her stories are so perfect. Where does she get all this content? You can watch stories and get inspo about what you need to share, and it needs to be just that. You cannot compare your stories to what it looks like for someone else. Don't go watch Nicolette's stories and compare yours to hers because she has an assistant that she pays to do her content. So there's no way that you can possibly recreate that, but you can get ideas and inspiration about how she's sharing about the business and how she's sharing about products. Try not to screenshot things and reuse it. People can tell when you do that and it just looks kind of tacky. Absolutely screenshot, a visual or something and crop it out if you want to use that, but don't go screenshot somebody's stories that they shared and then throw it in your story without sharing anything about it. Okay, so that was a quick Stories 101. Does everybody feel a little bit better about stories? You can always watch my stories for inspo. Communication is key. So we're all at least a week into this business. We don't have any new associates that have been enrolled this week. So if you are at the point where you're like, wow, I'm still only getting up 1 or 2 stories a day, I would highly, highly encourage you to go to your sponsor and say, hey, I am only getting up 1 to 2 stories a day. What can I do? How can you help me? Because your business will absolutely not grow and thrive if you can't get your story content up. And another thing I just want to say is like I used to work full time when I first started doing this. I worked full time for a year and a half before I made enough money to quit my job. So I know the struggle of giving 8 hours of your day to another business. But as long as you're disciplined in your work and you plan, it's doable. So like I would a lot of times record my first couple of stories for the day, sometimes at 5 a.m. in the morning. I wouldn't post them. Sometimes I wouldn't post some of them till my lunch break or until I got a bathroom break. And then when I got home at night, that's when the majority of my content was posted. But I didn't let my 8 hour workday be an excuse to not post anything. Um, if you're struggling to figure out how to make it work, as far as the time goes, communicate that with me. A lot of your all stories have been popping up like at the top of my thing. So I don't want you to think I'm telling you like your stories are awful. I just have a lot of people who are saying, I feel like that's my weak area. So I wanted to be sure we spend some time talking about it. Okay, on to the tracker. So posting 2 times a day, 7 to 10 stories per day. We're always going to post about the business and we're always going to post about a product every single day in our stories. 5 minutes warming up the algorithm. What that means is, let me find my Facebook. All you're going to do to warm up your Facebook algorithm is open your Facebook and start scrolling. And you're just going to spend some time liking things. I'm not going to spend time reading that right now, so I'm not going to like it. This is a Trinont girl, so I'm not going to boost that to the algorithm. This is the cutest thing I've ever seen. So I'm going to like it and I'm going to comment, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And I highly recommend setting a timer or you will lose track of time. And before you know it, you will have been scrolling for 20 minutes and wasted time on your tracker. So this is just letting Facebook know like, hey, I'm here. I'm using Facebook. I am doing what you want me to do. I want you to boost my stuff in the algorithm. Okay. You can do this for posts and you can do it for stories. So you can spend time clicking through stories, commenting and leaving hearts on those. Just set a timer and do it for 5 minutes. If you're trying to grow your Instagram, you want to go over there and do the same thing for 5 minutes. So that is that portion of the tracker. I know that that can be one of the things that might not seem like it's super important, but it really is, especially if you start to notice that your um views are down and people liking your posts the numbers have gone down. You probably need to spend some time warming up Facebook. All right. Next is invites. 5 per day at minimum and follow-ups. If you are in the push group, 5 is not enough. I'll tell you a little secret. I started in this industry 5 years ago, as you know, and what I forget what I don't remember who even did the training. It was a long time ago, but someone who was training in network marketing said if you reach out to 10 people every single day, your business will explode. You will never be without customers. You will never be without enrolling. Um, that's all it takes for your business to be successful. And I took that to heart. And I don't know if there has been a single day in the last 5 years, except for weekends or if I've been sick, that I haven't done that. And I 100% believe that that is one of the reasons why my business has been successful because I don't let anything stand in the way of that. If it's 9:30 at night and I haven't gotten to do that part of my tracker yet, I will do it before I go to bed because 5 years ago, someone told me that it would make my business successful, and it's always been true. So if I don't have time to post for the day, like on my page, I don't care. I'm still doing my invites. If my stories sucked and I only got, 5 of them up instead of 10 of them, I don't care. I'm still doing my invites. If I didn't get to warm up the Facebook algorithm, I'm still doing my invites. They are an absolute non-negotiable for me. Now, there is a difference between invites, follow-ups, and starting conversations. So we'll talk a little bit about those. How do you overcome the rejection? Like, I still want them to accept it and some just don't. That's just how it is. I could go, actually, I'm screen sharing so I can actually show you. I can go to my messenger here and can you guys see my messenger? Let's see. Let me get past. See, hey, Mercedes, all these ones that say their name. Hey, Mercedes. Hey, Caitlin. Hey, I never heard back from you. Hey, thanks for watching my stories. These are all people who never responded to me either. Hey, Aaron, did you see? Blah, blah, blah. Hey, Darian. These are people who never responded to me either. It's just part of this business, right? If you invite somebody to go to church with you and they reject it and say no, you don't get your, I'm not saying anything to you personally, but like you don't get your feelings hurt and quit Jesus, right? No, you don't. You planted the seed and you move on. And that's kind of how I view this business, especially if they're watching my stories. I could go through here and show you messages of people that I swear to you, I will send them a message that says, hey, thanks for watching my stories. Can I share more with you about the products I'm using? And they will respond and say, I didn't watch your stories. And then 3 weeks later, I'll do it again and I'll say, oh, hey, I saw you in my stories again. Were you interested in this business? And they'll say, oh, my kid must have clicked it. So, like, if they're watching your stories, they are interested in something that you're sharing about, and they just might not be ready to say, actually, yeah, I do need help with weight loss, or actually, yes, I am interested in the business. So I literally send the message and I let it go, and I don't think another thing about it. If someone messages me back and says, no thanks, not interested in an MLM or not interested in selling online, I don't think one thing about that either. I actually thank them for their time and I will say thank you so much for letting me know. I really appreciate you getting back to me. And that's just one person that I know I don't have to waste my time reaching out to them anymore because they've made it clear that they're not interested. Um, so invites can look really different for everybody. Most of my invites are business focused. I tend to lead with the business and then backtrack to the supplement. So I tend to lead with, hey, I saw you watching my stories. Did you see there's a $500 bonus this month? I would love to share with you how I'm helping mamas earn extra income right from home. If they say, no thanks, I'm not interested, and then, I might say, follow back up and say, okay, that's okay. It's definitely not for anybody. Have you thought about just trying some supplements for weight loss? If you're not as confident yet in inviting to the business, then your invite might look different. It might be product focused. You might be saying, hey, I noticed you watched my stories about my Activate. Can I share some information with you about it? Eric Worre swears by the phrase, if I would you, and I try to include that in my invites. I'll type this into the chat. Would you? And it has something to do with, I don't know, it's some sort of science behind it. So a lot of times my invite will say, hey, I noticed you're watching my stories. I help mamas learn how to make money right from home. If I sent you a little video on how it works, would you watch it? 9 times out of 10, they'll say, sure. Do they respond after that? Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. If I'm, responding to stories of me mixing my Activate, then I might say, hey, I saw you watching my stories of me mixing my Activate. If I sent you more about the product, would you take a look at it? And a lot of times they'll say, sure. So I'm going to show you 2 ways to access your story views. You can access them right from your main page, but it will only show you your most recent story. So you can look at your story views, and those are all opportunities to send invitations. Okay. Some people will teach not to go directly in with the invite. Some people will teach you to go in and say, to Jessica, I've already messaged this girl, but and she hasn't responded, but she's been watching my stories for 2 years now. Um, some people will teach you to go in and say like, "Hey, Jessica, thank you so much for watching my stories. I have, a little girl the same age as yours," and start a conversation. I don't do that. I personally think if they're watching my stories, they're interested in something, so I go directly in with the invite. You have to find out what works for you. So here's one place you can access your stories, but I usually go to my page. And then if you click these 3 little dots over here, you can go to your story archive and it will actually show you stories. I don't know how far back it goes, but it at least goes a week. So I like to go here because they tend to have more views because it's when it's totally timed out. So like I haven't sent messages all weekend. So when I sit down tomorrow morning to send messages, I'll go back to all of these stories I posted over the weekend and I'll try to find the one that has the most views. So like this one has 292. So I'll probably start with this one and I'll just pause the story and I'll start working down through there, just sending messages one by one. You do not want to copy paste. You will get put in Facebook jail for that. You want to be sure that you take the time. Now, if you want to copy paste the portion that says like, if I sent you a short video, would you watch it? That's fine. But you want to be sure and edit the part that says like, hey, Taylor, I noticed you tapped into my stories, or hey, Taylor, I saw you were watching. You don't want to just blast messages copy pasted to every single person because you will end up in Facebook jail. And once you get in Facebook jail, it's really hard to get out. It takes at least 7 days. I wouldn't know. Any questions about invites? So invites are different than your 100 conversations. I did not put 100 conversations on this tracker, but I do think that it's a great idea for everybody to start their month with 100 conversations. I know it sounds like a lot, and honestly, last month is the first month that I did it. And it really, really paid off for me because I noticed that all of those not all, but most of those conversations I had started, those people ended up popping up in my stories, which then gave me the chance to go in with an invite. So, what do I mean by 100 conversations? It doesn't necessarily have to be at the beginning of the month. I just think it's easier to kind of knock out all 100 at the beginning. So, whenever you're warming up, I don't do this when I'm warming up my Facebook. I do this separate because I'm kind of OCD and I want to know exactly how many conversations I started. So I will go down through here like this right here, Army formal with the best looking colonel in the US. I know this girl, her name's Brittany. So instead of leaving a comment here that says, wow, you look amazing, like I will send her a message. I will click on her name and send her a message and I'll say, that dress was gorgeous. I need a formal dress. Where did you get that? And that's true. I do need a formal dress. I'm walking across the stage next weekend. So that's starting a conversation. I'm not going to say anything about the business. I'm not going to invite her to anything. I'm just starting the conversation. And organically, when she sees my message pop up, she's going to be like, who's this girl, Amber, who's messaging me? Oh, she's wanting to know about my dress. She's going to click on my page. She's probably going to wind up in my stories. So I'll just spend, it takes me like a week to get all of my 100 conversations started. I'm not going to lie. But I'll just scroll down through here. And I know these girls, they're sisters. So I would probably send her a message and be like, oh my gosh, you and your sister are twins, instead of commenting it on there. Puppy. I've been thinking about getting the girls a puppy. Y'all tell me it's a bad idea, but I might message her. My husband's where he can hear me. I message her and say, like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about getting my girls a puppy. What is that? It's so cute. So that's how I start my 100 conversations, and I do not include those in my invites. And then lastly is follow-ups. I don't follow up every day. I tend to go to my follow-up list once a week. You can create your follow-up list ever how you want to. I keep a digital follow-up list, and it looks like this. And I just keep a list of people who are associate follow-ups, people who were supplement follow-ups, and then I need to just change this list. But you can see follow-ups are key. All of these spaces that are out are people who I have followed up with in the last little bit, and they've been like, yeah, sure, I'm ready to do this. Sign me up. Or, yeah, sure, I'm ready to try the products. That name can come off. So keeping a follow-up list is absolutely necessary. Now, I don't put every single person I send a message to on here. I only put them on here if we actually had a conversation about the business or the products. This list is like your hot list. I can't tell you how many times this thing has saved me. When we launch a new product next Friday, you better believe me going to every single person on here and we'll be like, hey, I know you were interested in these products and 3 new ones just dropped. Let's pick a stack for you before everything gets sold out. The next time we have a discounted enrollment, I will have the opportunity to go back to every single one of these people on my associate follow-up list and say, hey, you were interested in doing this business with me. Enrollment is discounted right now. It's a great time to get your account set up. So a follow-up list is key. Okay. Any questions about that? I know it sounds like a lot, but whenever you get in your system and like what works for you, it will not be as time consuming as it seems to be in the beginning. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.